Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to post some videos on how to do the new work this week. We finished up some geometry stuff last week, and so we're moving on to it's kind of the same thing, but really make sure that you have pulled up 8.0 similar figures, and that's what we're going to be looking at today for Monday, May the 4th. So similar figures, when we talk about them, have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. So if we look at this symbol right here, a little squiggly line, that means similar to. So if we look at triangle ABC, is going to be similar to triangle X, Y, and Z. Okay, and the reason we know, or the reason we can find out if these two shapes are similar, is that we look at ratios. So if we take this side right here and we make a ratio out of it, and we know how to do that. So let's take this side here. Actually, let's do this one. 10 over 15. And then this one and this one. If we reduce all these fractions, we get 2/3, right? So that means that because they all do, that means that these two shapes are proportional. And we have done this before, where we have done proportions. So we kind of know how to do that. So we just need to put it in terms of these two shapes. So let's make sure that we look at that. So similar figures are corresponding angles are equal. So we may have a diagram that shows triangles, and it may give you actually what the degree of the angles are. And if those degrees are the same, then we would say corresponding angles are equal. And the lengths of corresponding sides are proportional. So if we look at this, we see that these sides to these two triangles are all proportional. Okay, they all reduce to 2/3. That means that they are similar. So similar figures are going to have these two things to them. So let's make sure that we go on and we look at this. Now, the shapes don't have to be set up in the same manner, so we have to make sure that we're paying attention to what side is proportional to what side. So if we look at this, we kind of have an arrow that points to that and that. So those are the same sides. Okay, so those are the ones that we are going to look at, whether they're proportional or not. Okay, and so that side is going to be the same as our unknown on this side. So if it says these two triangles are similar, and we're telling you that information that they are, use a proportion to solve for the missing side. So we have done this proportionally when we did inequalities and we did equations. We're just now going to relate it to sides of shapes that we know from geometry. So looking at triangles today. So if I go to this first one, remember, this is going to be the same as 9 over x. And because they're similar, that means that they're going to be proportional. So we're going to be equal to 14 over 21. Okay, so that's that side and that side. Now, we just do our cross multiplication, correct? So we get 14x cross multiplying, right, is equal to 9 times 21, which is going to be 189. And then that's a one-step equation that we've been solving since November. So everybody should know how to do this at this point. So our x side of our triangle is going to be equal to 13.5. And these are in inches, so make sure that we have that on there. So that's your answer is right there. So we're solving for the missing side, which is x, and we get 13.5 inches. So that's our answer. So that's what you're going to be looking at doing at homework today. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to the next slide. And again, we're finding the missing side, so the length of the missing side, which is going to be n. Make sure that we understand that these two shapes, if I say find the length of the missing side, we are assuming that they are going to be similar. So all we have to do is set up a proportion. So if we do this side and this side, right? 5 over n is going to be equal to 9 over 5. And we know how to do this, so let's make sure that we stay focused on what we already know. Okay, so if we get to this point, then we should know what we're doing. So we get 9 times n, so we get 9n is going to be equal to 5 times 5, which is going to be 25. And then we know what to do at this point. We're going to divide both sides by 9, because what we do to one side, we got to do to the other. So n is going to be equal to 2.8. And we got to remember that we got to label. They're using feet on here, so we're going to put feet. Okay, so 2.8 feet is our answer. Okay, so don't overthink it. It's not going to be, again, we're starting out very simple. We are assuming that these two shapes are similar, unless I tell you different, or unless I ask you that question, are these two shapes similar? And then you can set up whether they are or not. Okay, so we're going on to a different shape other than just a triangle. This doesn't change anything. We're still going to say, use your proportion to determine the value of x rounding to the nearest tenth. So if we look at x, that's just a missing side, and we want to solve for that. Okay, and we have all the other measurements that we need. So these are four-sided, so we call them quadrilaterals. They are not squares because we do not have 90-degree angles. Okay, but again, I'm telling you in the first sentence that they are similar to each other, so we know that they're proportional. We know that the angles are the same, so we are just going to set up a proportion to find the value of x, which is our missing side. So as we do that, we got 103 over 34.5, 103 over 34.5. It's going to be equal to x over 32. Okay, so let's just make sure that we are always getting the right numbers matched up. Okay, we cross multiply, so we get 34.5x is going to be equal to 103 times 32, which is going to be 3,296. So as we do that, now we just divide each side by 34.5. So they cancel out, 34.5. So x is going to be equal to 95.5, and that's in centimeters. Now, when we talk about nearest tenths, we're talking about that one place after the decimal. Okay, so make sure we're going to have point something. So we're going to go to one place after the decimal. So that's what we mean by rounding to the nearest tenth. It says round to the nearest tenth. This is what we're talking about, is this right here. Okay? So let's go on. We got one last slide to do for today before you're going to do your homework. So if we look at these, what they call this height of this brace. Okay, we got basically two shapes in there. Okay, and we want to find a missing length of what h is right here in the middle. Okay, and so if you're going to do building trades or something of that nature, this is something that you kind of are going to do. You have to learn how to do, and something that you're going to use out in the world every day. So let's make sure that we're setting this up right. So we're going to, we have h, okay, and 9. So we got h over 9 is going to be equal to 7 over 15. Okay. And again, that's this triangle and the bigger triangle, two sides. Okay. And then this would be h. So 7 foot. If we take this right here and just moved it down, okay, that's what we would get. And then we have this big triangle of 9 and 15. Okay, and then all we got to do is cross multiply. So we get 15h going to be equal to 63. We're going to divide both sides by 15. Get h equals to 4.2 feet. So that's your answer. It's 4.2 feet. Okay? So again, let's just make sure that we get to this part right here. And then you guys will be able to figure out the rest because we've been doing that forever. So your homework for Monday is sheet 8-008A. Sorry, sheet -80A. That is also posted on Google Classroom. You can go to that. You can put your answers right in there, insert a text box, and put your answers in there. Show as much work as you absolutely can, so I can see if you really know what you're doing or not, and that will let me help you as much as I can. Okay, so good luck on your homework. Hopefully this video helps. I hope you have a great week. May the 4th be with you.